This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good morning, it's Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Mental health Israel seek help and end the stigma. On the news this morning, Rivers State Government Council sanitation exercise. Stakeholder reacts to Governor Fubara's decision to sack commissioners' aides. Court upholds President Tinubu's emergency declaration in Rivers State. High Court dismisses suit over removal of officials of Local Government Service Commission. And former Vice President Atiku denies plans to step down ahead of 2027 election. Details of these and more after this break.
Celebrating the
You're welcome back. I'm Ifechukwu Muonyili with the news. Now, let's start the news this morning by telling you that there will be no monthly sanitation this weekend. The monthly sanitation exercise scheduled for this Saturday, October 4th, has been cancelled. Chairman of the River State Waste Management Agency, Dr. Samuel Wanosike, announced this after meeting with Governor Siminalayi Fubara in Port Harcourt. He says the governor wants a new approach to tackling sanitation in the state.
After consulting with the leader of the state, we have been properly assured of all the support we need to be able to make sure River State is clean. Subsequently, we also want to seize the opportunity to inform the people of River State that the originally proposed environmental sanitation exercise that was supposed to hold on the 4th of October is hereby put off until further notice. This is to allow us build more capacity. The governor wants a different approach.
The Ruama board chairman also adds that Governor Fubara has promised to support Ruama with initiatives, including the provision of a new dump site.
It is the governor's wish that our people live in health. His Excellency has also given directives on actions to take, and days after now, Rivers people will enjoy the dividends of democracy in the actions of making sure our refuse are properly managed, provision of new dump sites, properly managed dump sites, landfill engineered dump sites, and giving us all the infrastructures we need to make sure that we are able to achieve the needed results.
Meanwhile, the agency's managing director, Dr. Ibimina Awokuma, is urging residents to keep their surroundings clean despite the cancellation.
The fact that the environmental sanitation exercise following the advice of His Excellency has been put off for the 4th of October, pending when better arrangements have been made, does not mean that we should go and sleep. Sanitation is everyday exercise. So we urge each and every one that while we are not observing the exercise, you can still observe it in your homes. We advise you to still make sure that your refuse are properly bagged. Dumping of waste on the median and on the drainages are still prohibited, whether we are observing the sanitation or not. They're the receptacles. Thank you and God bless you all.
Now, the decision of Governor Siminalayi Fubara to relieve commissioners and aides affected by the Supreme Court ruling of their duties is generating reactions. A public affairs analyst, Obiwa Kanwa, says the governor's action is a respect to the Supreme Court judgment and not political weakness. Mr. Kanwa gave this explanation during a chat with correspondent Obi Oruware.
When you look at the fact that he has allowed few others who possibly may have been screened by the Amehule-led assembly, it means that he has a recourse and respect for court decisions. His supporters would see it that, look, our leader is conforming to laid down rules and laws, and most importantly, decision of a court of that higher hierarchy. They can't interpret it differently.
Also, he says the governor took the right step to ensure that the peace pact he signed with the FCT minister before President Bola Tinubu are not truncated.
The governor is trying to recover some lost grounds. It is within his constitutional powers as the head of the executive to relieve political appointees of their positions when he deems it necessary and appropriate. You can't win all at the same time. There are times when you allow few things to go, and that is just the position. He found himself in a very precarious position.
Now, this next news item is sure to gladden the heart of many River State residents as authorities in the state say they are determined to tackle the menace of land grabbing. This is according to the chairman of Obiakwa local government area, Dr. Gift Wallo. Speaking on Nigeria Info FM's Hard Fact, Dr. Wallo linked land grabbing to kidnapping, cultism, and other crimes in the state and accused some government officials, security agents, and judicial officers of being involved.
It is something that is linked to kidnapping. There is murder to it. There is cultism to it. And then, of course, there is the problem of compromise on the part of some impetuous security officials. And land grabbing is such that it's difficult to know now who a land grabber is, because people are grabbing land left, right, and center.
He adds that he plans to write to the president, the governor, the judiciary, and lawmakers with proposals on how to address the problem. Dr. Wallo also suggested setting up a statewide committee to tackle land grabbing.
What is happening in River State today, if it is not checked? And that is why I am putting almost everything within me and seeking the collaboration of all well-meaning people, including officials of government, so that we can tackle this matter. I am putting together petitions and reports to be served to the governor of the state, chief judge, commissioner of police, DSS, inspector general of police, the National Assembly, state assembly, and even the president on this matter because of how serious it is.
Moving on to judicial matters now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has thrown out a case challenging the state of emergency declared in River State on March 18, 2025. Justice James Omotosho ruled that the 5 plaintiffs who filed the suit lacked the legal authority to do so, noting that only the Supreme Court can decide on such a matter. Now, he also said none of them was a member of the state executive, the House of Assembly, or had the approval of the Attorney General to file on behalf of Rivers people. Now, the judge upheld President Tinubu's claim that the emergency was necessary to prevent a breakdown of law and order, dismissing the case as frivolous and baseless. Now, you'll recall that the declaration suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Rivers House of Assembly for 6 months, while an administrator was appointed to run the state. Still on the judiciary, a River State High Court in Port Harcourt has struck out a case filed by the chairman and members of the Local Government Service Commission who were appointed by Governor Siminalayi Fubara but later removed by former sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ebok Ete Ebas. The claimant, including Goodlife Idioku Ben, Amadi Christian Echele, and Chimenem Jerome, had challenged their removal and replacement with another set of appointees. But at the hearing, their lawyer, Kelechi Ubari, said his client had decided to discontinue the matter in the interest of peace and progress in the state. While counsel to the defendant pushed for a dismissal, presiding judge Justice Frank Onyiri ruled that the application lacked merit. He struck out the case as requested by the claimant, but declined to award costs. Now, the Independence Day broadcast by President Bola Tinubu is still generating reactions. This time, we have a business analyst in Port Harcourt, Ifechukwu, who says the claims by President Bola Tinubu that corruption has ended in the country are not entirely true. Mr. Chukwu made this criticism in an interview with correspondent Yobi Oruware.
In the speech, there's no massive program rolled out against corruption. That may be because the president said one week ago that corruption has ended in his country. All the things that amount to corruption are still there. You cannot submit any form or any file in any government agency or ministry without paying money. And the president stands up to say corruption has ended. Is the president seen another country, or is it the country we are seeing where he said corruption has ended?
Mr. Chukwu is the regional editor of Business Day newspaper, and he says some policies of the federal government still show that the country has not come out of the pains of the pre-independence years.
How Nigeria was strong enough to survive a bitter, what you call bitter and avoidable civil war. How are we really out of that civil war? Some policies and actions appear as if the war is still on, as if Nigeria is still operating so section versus so section even today. The president was proud to say that they are building a nation where every Nigerian will find accommodation in another part of the country. That would have been a sweet message if in reality it were to be so.
However, the business analyst agrees with the president's claims that there is hope for the economy to recover from seeming collapse.
The president said that the signs of growth are there. Yes, we agree, signs of growth are there. Some of us have seen those signs. That shows it with the GDP is doing well, galloping at 4 point something when the World Bank and the IMF they predicted 3 point something. Inflation is flying from 34% down to 20.2%. Although many people say who pushed the inflation up, it's the same administration that pushed it up. So if it is coming down, they say it's not an achievement. But me, I regard it as an achievement because coming down almost half.
Still to come, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is denying report about his political moves. We will explain in detail what this is all about when we come back from this break. Do stay with us.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
You're welcome back. Now we have a new permanent secretary in River State, as River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has approved the appointment of Mr. Austin Ezekiel Hart as a permanent secretary in the state civil service. In a statement, the head of service, Dr. Iyingi Brown, says the new appointee will be sworn in by the governor at a later date. The paramount ruler of Woji community, Eze Emeka Ihunwo, has warned drug dealers to leave the community. Speaking at a sensitization program, Eze Ihunwo said anyone found selling drugs will be exposed and driven out, insisting that Woji will not tolerate activities that threaten lives and disrupt peace.
Operation Pack and Go of Woji for those who sell drugs. There will be no room to accommodate them here. So these are some of the things we have presented to our people today. And they were so satisfied.
Also, at the event, the chairman of Ubiakwa local government area, Dr. Gift Waller, represented by his vice, Joyce Yeche, urged residents to report suspicious activities to the authorities, stressing that community cooperation is key in the fight against drug abuse and related crimes.
If we don't report the wrongdoings in our communities, there is no way the government can help you out. If there are things you see and you hide them, you don't report to the authorities so that they take the move that they are supposed to take, then the community will be in trouble. If we must fight insecurity, it has to start from us. We must correct this wrong negative impression that is destroying our society today, especially when you see those persons selling it that are living in your houses. If we push them out of our community, you see that the effects will be less.
To national news stories now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has dismissed reports that he plans to step down for another presidential aspirant ahead of the 2027 elections. In a statement, his media advisor, Paul Ibe, says the claims are a misrepresentation of Atiku's recent interview with the BBC Hausa service. He explained that both the video and transcript of the interview showed Atiku never suggested or implied that he would step down for anyone. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has warned that delays in passing a legal framework for the 2027 elections could affect the Commission's preparation for receiving a delegation of the European Union Election Observation Follow-up Mission in Abuja. Professor Yakubu urged the National Assembly to fast-track action on the electoral reform proposals. He noted that reforms in the judiciary, administration, and constitution are still slow, while transparency in result publication remains unresolved. And now to business. Entrepreneurs, tech leaders, and business giants gathered in Port Harcourt on Thursday for the 10th edition of the Startup South Conference. The event also doubled as the 10th anniversary of the platform, which connects, educates, and attracts investments to startups and founders across the South, and Southeast. Convener of Startup South, Uche Aniche, told newsmen that Nigeria's economy could experience a major turnaround if the benefits of a digital economy are fully harnessed.
For us, the digital economy is one of the fastest and the quickest way to grow Nigeria's economy significantly. For the first time in our history, the digital economy has contributed more to Nigeria's GDP than oil and gas. I think it only makes sense for us that we double down on this sector that, though not fully developed, is already surpassing the most developed sector of our economy.
Delivering a keynote on Octus shaping the next decade of business innovation, culture, and capital, President of Garden City Premier Business School, Professor Silva Opwara Charles, urged Rivers youth to shift their focus from politics to entrepreneurship powered by technology. Also speaking, Google Program Manager Anyedi Udo Obong to embrace their problems and turn them into opportunities for value and wealth creation.
how do we start looking at our problems from the point of view of actually turning our problems into possibilities for opportunity. People pay to solve their problems. If you're sick, you buy drugs. If you're hungry, you buy food. If you are going to be thrown out of your accommodation, you're going to pay your rent. So generally, money flows in the direction of value, and value is really about solving problems. So I'm trying to engineer a mindset where people stop running away from problems and start looking at problems as an opportunity rather than a challenge, rather than a frustration. So turn that frustration into value.
Correspondent Nanda Samwala reports that the conference featured panel discussions, lecture series, exhibitions, and cultural performances.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Police in Manchester have identified the man behind Thursday's attack at a synagogue that left 2 people dead and 3 others injured. Now, he is 35-year-old Jihad al-Shamir, a British man of Syrian descent. Al-Shamir drove into worshippers outside the Heaton Park Hebrew Congregation Synagogue before stabbing bystanders, but was shot dead by police at the scene. Greater Manchester Police have declared it a terrorist incident and say 3 other people have been arrested as part of the investigation. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has condemned the attack, which happened on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. And now we move to sports. Now, how would you feel if the goalkeeper of the club you support saves 3 penalties in a game to ensure your team wins? Yes, you heard that right. 3 penalties, because that's exactly how fans of French club Lille feel this morning. Now, Lille goalkeeper Becker Ozer pulled off late heroics in their Europa League clash with Roma, saving 3 consecutive penalties to secure victory for the French side. Lille had taken an early lead through Håkon Anna Haraldsen, but Roma were awarded a penalty in 80th minute after a handball by Isa Mandi. Substitute Artem Dovbyk saw his first 2 sport kicks saved, but both had to be retaken for encroachment and goalkeeper movement. When teammate Matthias Soler finally stepped up for the 3rd attempt, Ozer denied him as well, sealing Lille's dramatic win.